Thank you. So, welcome to the Plone Newsroom with Philip Bauer, and I think. Okay.
Oh.
So, welcome to the Plone Newsroom live with Philip Bauer and Fred van Dijk.
Thank you. Audio test. Audio test. Yeah, we're right. Test. Yeah. Start recording.
Hi. Well, we start the recording usually now, and then something goes wrong, and then we start it again, and that's.
And we check the volumes. So we use this online tool. We check the volumes, and then okay.
Rearrange the lights and everything, and the mask people come in and the hair people. So hi, hello and welcome to the Plone Newsroom, episode 11 recorded, October 13, 2022, and you're listening to Philip Bauer from Namur and
Fred van Dijk from Namur. Welcome.
Yeah. It's a podcast, obviously, about the Plone community and what's going on here, and it's the very, very first time that we're doing that live, and we're
recording live from PloneConf 2022.
Yes, and so I think this is going to get much worse than the usual episodes. But okay, let's try this. Obviously, this is there's a video live stream, and we're gonna maybe have a audio version for that online. You'll find out. We have a web corner for those who don't know that on plone.org. We're graciously allowed there, even though we're not an official spokesperson, people, whatever.
We invented the official unofficial podcast for that in the subtitle. You did.
So okay. We tried our first live podcast, the very first episode when Fred came by. He drove through Munich to meet Christine in Innsbruck. And we had to delete that because we were not able to hold the microphones right. So we
were sitting just like this together.
We never did that in the same room, actually, without any major fails. So this is going to be exciting for us. Okay.
With audience as well, because we didn't that in your room. Then it was just like the two of us, and now it doesn't work.
Yeah,
so
there was.
Try two with audience. Thank you so much for showing up.
It's so nice of you to have us. It's great to bear with us. Since Kim was already yelling in, it would be cool to acknowledge him as actually the inspiration for the Plone Newsroom, since he did. Now they're the other Kim, or some of the other Kims.
Why do they always sit together? You shout Kim, and then they both respond because they instigate.
Obviously. So he does the wonderful Plone podcast, and I called him. The pandemic had just started, and I thought he has not enough on his table, so I asked him to do a podcast about Plone News with me, and he said no. So I went to my second choice. No, but it turned out really good. But also, actually what I missed, and that's why we started that, was Christine McNeil's news items. I think she did a really great job back in the day. Three Dog McNeil, hi, if you're watching that from Blast from the Past. So we're trying to do that in a video or audio way. So we have some community news and the news announcer, Mr. Van Dijk.
So, to start with some recent lightning news. Volto Release Manager publishes until now secret browser extension to log in as admin into any Volto site.
Very useful for Plone Foundation statistics.
The secret admin password. So, Belgian IT expert plans to go into retirement but cannot give up beer-driven development, so he will start a microbrewery. And to conclude this section, Foundation President confesses to practice reverse name dropping when he pulls off any action or stunt just to get mentioned by name in a certain podcast, with a 100% score so far.
Who's the Foundation President?
Paul?
Yeah, I think
right?
it's
for
still,
many years.
It must be Paul.
It must be Paul, yeah.
I'm so used to that.
Yeah.
So doing a podcast like this just to inspire you, it's not rocket science, as you must have realized by now. Being extrovert probably helps.
A little bit of talent.
No, not really.
And we are used to each other. I mean,
we bear each other.
We did the mastering. I helped you with the mastering Plone training in 2015. Remember? Doing those nice interruptions all the time, and you tried to avoid them, but it didn't work.
You can consider yourself lucky I didn't kick you out of the room, because you really interrupted me every second sentence. It was horrible. So just if you want to do something for the Plone community to get news out, something like that is cool. And there's so many topics aside from development news and community news that you could Plone in education. Start a podcast about that. I've seen so many really, really good talks and inspiring success stories from educational organizations, universities. They blew me out of the water. Podcast about that would be awesome. Just throwing that out.
And also the time investment. Look, I mean, every month when we try, it's like, okay, hey Philip, shall we prepare a podcast? We talk to each other for half an hour online. We write a small script, so everything we say is not scripted here, but just the subjects and some lines which we read. And you will now be for the first time seeing that we're actually looking at our computers, because when we record it in video, the cam is here, so you don't really know that we're reading from the script all the time, but we have to. But then for the rest, it's a bit of improvisation, and I've been doing this improvisation thing for a year now, before I actually found that book.
Show up. Be mediocre, I think that was one of the rules that he mentioned. So we're trying to aspire to that.
And last one of the book, I didn't mention, you should read the book, but the last one is Enjoy the Ride, and I think we do.
Yeah, that's certainly true. But okay, joking aside, we actually have some community news. Just now, Plone 6 Final was released. No. We had that a couple of times before the conference, like the 2 days before. Hey guys, I just made a release, and then the people like me who are stupid enough to do trainings with the latest version had to update everything, and as usual, something broke. But Beta 3 was released.
Yeah, Beta 3 was released already 1 week or 1.5 weeks ago. So we've had a kind of stabilized environment now for PloneCon for the trainings.
That's what you say. Everything broke, obviously, because David changed the password length to 8, which, yeah, it's nice, but okay.
You should have used Victor's tool.
Victor's tool would help there. Never need a password again. Also, some other nice fixes came in there. Mike did that. Actually, tables don't look horrible now, which is really good. And other than that, there's really nothing worth mentioning on that stage. Some minor fixes, so that's really nice. But there were, obviously, as usual, 4 new alpha releases of Volto. So it's like the speed of Plone times 4. That's the Volto speed.
So, are there any major blockers before final?
I couldn't think of anything aside from obviously documentation. But then something came to me. I was in the release planning meeting and I forgot everything. but we don't have any marketing yet for the big Plone 6 release. We've been talking about that, we've been planning that. So that is the major blocker. Obviously there's other small things to do, maybe some bigger, but we could defer some of these to the next one. But the release of Plone 6 needs to be announced. So Rico Pekka and whoever is helping him, I don't envy you. That's going to be a lot of work, I hope. So we can benefit from that.
Yeah. Next part, some personal community member news.
Yeah, I heard
really
Ramon got married. Is that true? Yeah. Congratulations, awesome. So since the last conference, some of us saw each other, but since the last conference, who got either married, divorced, or had a child? Hands up. I'm actually not sure if we should clap now because I said divorce, so just acknowledge that.
Your fault. Why are you mixing these two? It settles out everything again back to zero. Next one.
Okay. Since we're already on the down, Peter Holter has left Plone. We wish him good luck with his new projects, and so. The thing, why am I saying this, is that we so much appreciate everything he has done and everyone else who has left us for greener pastures, things that are more fun now, make more money, or are just less distracting than the Plone community. And we appreciate everyone and everything that they have done and what they did. And if they come back. Yeah, they will always be part of the community.
But as our Plone president said also yesterday, this is the flow of things. I mean, people come, people work, people enjoy, people have fun, and people go. And people come back.
And some people overstay their welcome. I'm counting me in. Like, there's 7 years, I think I'm beyond that. And on the good side, we have some people coming back. David Glick, it's really, really good to have you back in the community. Great.
And he's having fun. He's presenting stuff. He's providing discussion starters.
He's his obvious former self. Perfect. Blowing us out of the water.
Thank you.
With work that we have to do at some point. That was a good move. Not giving answers. Okay, we want to look back at the last year of the Plone Newsroom season 1, and what our favorite topics were. What did you enjoy the most? What did we talk about that you liked?
I liked the one thing that we got halfway. Maybe it was by imitating again our good competitor Kim. We got Victor on the podcast, which I really liked, and we should try to do that more, but it's a bit of arrangement to get that working. Okay, somebody found a beer on the corner of the stage. I'll continue. So that was cool, like getting some insight in, because we're scavenging people, asking people, looking things online, and then we bring it like, oh, that's what I was afraid of. And we're presenting it like our news, which is not really, because we get all this great feedback, but it's really cool to have this feedback from people also on stage. And I really like it when we have the time. We run out of time almost any podcast. When we do some podcasts.
Zero.
No, zero.
Zero. We're working on that.
Yeah, so together, page composition tools, I really like that one.
Yeah, that was fun. We got feedback on that, like about what sucked in different tools and what didn't.
Do you always drink alone, Philip?
No, I was not trying to force you to drink. That was me being polite.
Oh, thank you.
Not filling your glass. What I enjoyed most, I think, was that while we did the podcast, Plone 6 was evolving, and it was like doing baby steps, and we were like companions to the evolvement or the whatever, the growing up of Plone 6, and that has been quite a ride. Plone 6 Classic and Volto at the same time, and I think I feel immense pride at what the community achieved there. I think they made good on a lot of promises that they made like 4 or 5 years ago, that a lot of people thought, okay, this is
Especially
This
at the
is
beginning.
setting the bar really high.
But at the beginning of 2020, it was really like, okay, how are we going to do this? But I think we did. We got through, like society got through, and the world somehow tries to get through. Yeah.
All right.
Looking back further. So, looking back at the 4 previous days of PloneConf. Who has had a great PloneConf so far? I did. No asking to raise hands, they do it automatically. Yeah, so, some interesting, there have been a lot of interesting talks. We'll do a few now. So, Philip, your interesting talks.
I loved your talk, Fred.
Yeah, okay.
Now,
it's in here in the script. This is totally
went through
fake.
this list of things that organizations should not do, and Alexander Pilz did the same, like with the hierarchies. And I have these clients in mind. I'm not going to name any. I say, hey, check. That was horrible. Seeing that organizations ruin themselves through hierarchies without good communication would be. These were good. Oh, but also I love the Volto talk by Timo.
Which Volto talk? We had like
all
5,
of them.
6, 7,
I loved,
8, 9.
I loved the latest by Pier Nicoli, and Timo's talk, and I think it ties. They both and some of the others, all of the others, basically they tie together that Plone 6 Volto delivers on the promise that is made. And the promise, as I said, was the bar was set really high, and it works. It's not an empty promise and like, okay, there's greener pastures in the future, bear with us, we're gonna go to React and you're gonna hate it, or maybe not, whatever, we don't care, we're gonna do it anyway. It's actually working, and it's working beautifully, and the user experience and the out-of-the-box functionality is just mind-blowing, I think. So I loved these talks.
Yeah. Another Volto talk I really liked was the Volto Beyond 2022 talk by Victor, because he also shows the low-level technical planning that's happening all the time. And then when we come to cons, it's like showing the flashy things we've achieved, and also last year, I really liked last year, Command and Control, by Timo showing really how we are starting to empower editors. But there's a whole layer above that and a lot of work that's happening. And I really like Victor showing this, that the planning that is done and the choices that also have to be made there, and those in-between reports.
It showed me what I don't know, which was like everything basically. And that is, it made me feel like one of my first ZOP conferences where people were like, we have to do traversal this way and that way and catalog improvements and stuff. It's like, wow, and I only know this thin layer on top of that. I'm using that to customize and create great sites, and underneath there's this great architecture. So that was a really impressive talk.
Another one that these are things that we should have at any somehow a little bit techie conference was the keynote this morning, like the global impact of IT with the energy, the waste, the limited resources we have.
Just trying to make good the planet.
Yeah, but I'm not thinking about that most of the time when I'm doing my work. So
do you have a Fairphone?
No, I just use my iPhone for 5 years.
Good move.
Almost always. So that was an interesting part. And of course also the diversity and impact of the pandemic talk by Paul Roeland. Like I said, we should have this any conference to also force us to look at and remember that what we're doing has impact. We can fix stuff, we can improve stuff. Like the equality thing, the liberation graphic was like, I saw it before, and then when it was on screen again, I was like, oh yeah, shit. So.
But before the talks, we had trainings, 2 days of trainings. Again, couldn't speak after these 2 days as many others did. I didn't attend any trainings because I gave trainings all the time, but I'm very proud that we have the effective Volto training now, because it's like a brain dump of the 2 smartest people who developed Volto, and having their brains obviously in their heads is a good thing, but also on a website is great.
What happened in the other part of the building there? No, but yeah, as you say, that it's great to have these materials, and like I think we have to thank Philip, I think, that for hammering in from the beginning of when we started the training stuff, that trainings have multiple purposes. It's on the spot there, material, but also you can read it later. And Philip and other people providing those trainings have really focused on writing it out and making it also able to follow those trainings later on and again and again. And there's also an improvement cycle. Every year we're forced to check the trainings, to improve them a bit, and to make them up to date again. Maybe create a few new ones, but we don't have all new trainings all year, but we improve them and they get better and better. I visited the Theming Classic UI one, and although I had followed it before and I should know quite a bit about theming, which I always deny, it's cool to see, for example, how cool Plone CLI is, especially in the training part, because you're always with this scaffolding and getting people up to date, and that was a really smooth one where you say, okay, Plone CLI, start an extension, Plone CLI, start a small build out, Plone CLI, add some things. And that helps. I mean, you can agree or disagree with scaffolding, but during a training process, that saves you so much time, especially when you have flaky Wi-Fi for the first 3 hours in the morning, because everybody at the same time starts up on Monday morning to install a build-out or to run something.
Wi-Fi was horrible, especially on the first day again. But yeah. That's normal during trainings.
Yeah. So Plone CLI, love it. Another one I visited was Patternslip by Johannes Ragam, and you know, Patternslip is another one of these things where the Plone community is far ahead of things. Plone community. Yeah, I consider that Patternslip also Plone community. It was there before React. It was there before web components. And then people say, if you show Patternslip, it's like, oh, but that's just like web components. Why did you reinvent the wheel? No. And also the interesting combinations you can make. Johannes showed that. With you can combine like 4 or 5 patterns, and you can have a re-implementation of the data grid field. No JavaScript there. Just HTML and attributes on classes.
So, Johannes, I'm still waiting for that URL. Because we like to eat our own dog food, so the training documentation for Patternslip is, how is it built? With patterns, obviously. So it doesn't fit in the training documentation as it is. Okay, I can live with that, but I need the URL. So how did your own talks go, Fred?
Oh, do we really have to talk about that?
No, you don't have to.
Well, yeah, okay. So I volunteered. I volunteered again. Yeah, I had too many slides because I had too many things in my head, and I really forced myself until, of course, the last day to blurt it out in 70 sheets. And I already knew it were too many sheets for the subject. But then that doesn't matter. I mean, it was also a discussion starter. I got a lot of nice feedback from people. We talked as well. You're going to try to hook into that a little bit later, if we got the time. Did a small lightning talk about improv wisdom. I wish I had read that book before I volunteered with you. Yeah. But it turned out right. That
was good.
Yeah. And your one, you did a migration talk.
That was good. I'm more happy about the migration training and the docs that came out of it, because today someone came to me and said, I read, and that was totally new to me, that you have to migrate from archetypes to dexterity in 5.2 and not in 4. And I thought this is so obvious. I've been saying that for so many years, but obviously just saying that is different from writing that down. So having something that's actually creating documentation is great, and I think the best thing that happened this year is what Katja and Steve did with the documentation, kicking that dead horse into life again. That was great.
And it's speeding up.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Which proves you just have to keep beating it until it's alive.
I'm not sure that really translates to anything.
So that were some don't try. So talks, some generic conference advice about all these talks. The beauty of the talks here this evening, I think we're getting better and better at it. The talks are recorded, they're live broadcasted, and they're also almost live published. Our Plone president was so kind to provide links with all the talks that are already there.
You mean Paul?
Yeah, Paul. To insert all links to the talks to YouTube, so you can look back, and that's really cool because now we're still together here, and you have to make these choices all the time by visiting. Later that night, skip just one beer, and when you're at your hotel room or whatever, look at 1 or 2. Yeah, you have to skip 1 beer more. Look in your hotel room, go back and scan and see a few talks that you missed, because those people giving the talks, the speakers and the other people, are now still here. So you can actually go now to YouTube, check it, and then tomorrow find the speaker, talk more. I mean, you can also always do it later, but now that we're here.
I saw Paul's talk while I was in the other room, so I had 2 talks at the same time. And then Mike told me that he was in Liège just yesterday at the Odoo thing. They're a tiny bit bigger than us, but still. They had this great setup, a huge room with 3 speakers, microphones, but 3 like speakers, people, but no speakers, loudspeakers. And everyone had a screen and audio, whatever, switcher. And the only thing they didn't have that I would have loved to have, like numbers. Like if one speaker's numbers go down to 0, I don't know, he drops down, something. Sharks eat him. Just maybe suggest
like
for
a
the next
5
Odoo thing.
like a 5-minute lightning talk things. And then if you don't get off from the thing, then you drop down.
Oh yeah, that
okay,
would have been useful yesterday, maybe.
So, another tip, maybe I don't remember, but the other thing always is when it's not only talking to speakers, but if you stand somewhere, try to stand in open circles. So allow people to join, and don't be afraid to join. Don't look funny at somebody when they approach you. Just accept them and continue talking and ask, hey, how are you doing?
The Pac-Man thing.
The Pac-Man. The what?
Yeah. Pac-Man rule.
The Pac-Man rule.
Be a Pac-Man.
Oh yeah, be a Pac-Man.
Everyone knows that.
I'll just do open circles. Is that?
Oh, that's also
Yeah,
fine.
okay.
Do open circles.
And lightning talks, try. Think about the improvisation stuff, be average, make mistakes, and enjoy the ride.
So, yeah, do that. We decided to since you all are here, you're all welcome on stage now. No, but we're gonna ask a couple of people to say some things because we have questions and we demand answers. So, Martijn, please, can you come here and? So he's one of the 2 main organizers of the conference. So don't tell everything, but is there any advice that you can give future conference organizers? The ones from next year, maybe we should close their ears if he says, don't do it, so don't say that. What's the advice you have?
Do it. But
This famous sport brand. Just do it. Just do it.
Just push for early bird tickets earlier, because it was rough for us to have an idea of how many people will be there.
Oh yeah, and then so 10 days before the conference, suddenly there was this horde of Plone developers and managers and people and interested people.
Early bird ticket give a rough idea of the total of participants.
Yeah. And the most exciting part or challenging part of the except you gave it away now, was we also you'd like to know who's coming there, because then you can scale and do stuff. But something else that was challenging or fun, or that you think, yeah, this is cool?
The most challenging part was the budgets. Maybe it's what's related to
Because it changed all the time, or like within numbers of people?
Yes, that's one part. The other part was it's the first post-COVID conference, so we had no idea how many people will come. And
are you happy with the turnout?
Yes, really happy.
I think we're growing. But maybe it's just, someone told me it's just the post-COVID high. Like people really need to see other people aside from themselves. But I don't think so. We're growing.
I don't think so.
Yeah,
I think
it's Volto's fault.
A lot
Timo's
of
fault.
old faces that we see again, like David, and it's really nice to have them.
And while we're standing here in a great building. So what was this building? Was it the municipality thing? There's this room upstairs where I think it's like the mayor with did they do that over there?
I honestly don't
know. You don't know?
I don't know Namur at all. So it's my first time in Namur.
Also as well.
not my really first time, but I discovered Namur like you.
Talking about
did you
challenges.
see any of the talks?
2.
Okay. So we're
the
not
drawback.
going to
That's
ask
the
you which
drawback.
ones you liked most.
That's a drawback. No. That's a drawback. You're so organized and think. But I had been bugging him half day for this setup and other things. He doesn't have time for it.
Yeah.
I will watch them later.
Yeah. Okay.
And you can.
During company time, hopefully. You're getting paid for watching YouTube videos. You should do that.
It's my time, so I do what I want.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
So,
thank you for organizing
warm
the
applause.
conference.
One of the organizers, you as well, Imio Afanitik. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Yeah, well, two more questions. Hannes, where are you? Can you? So, well, how do you say that? Plone is not only the software, obviously. The software is an artifact of the Plone community, and it wouldn't be existing without people meeting each other and actually doing stuff, but doing like all kinds of different things. So Hannes, he organized a sprint. How's that called, and why is it called like that? That is the weirdest thing I've ever heard.
It's the Buschenschank sprint in Southern Styria, and we have there's some help me out with the English word. Some not restaurants, but some.
That's why I'm asking. Buschenschank doesn't make sense.
Buschenschank is the southern Styria part. There are a lot of Buschenschanks, and this is.
So it's the eastern southernmost part of Austria, close to Slovenia. That's the area, I think.
It's not the easternmost, but the southern part of Styria, the most southern part of
yeah.
Styria.
And you've got a lot of beer there, right?
Wine.
Wine.
Yeah. You weren't you there once?
No, I tried like 2 or 3 or 4 times because this is a long running
Very
sprint.
important. There's during that sprint there's a fridge. At the beginning it's full, and at some point it empties, and then it gets refilled, and then it empties again. That's like the circle of life for the Buschenschank sprint.
But if I heard they're in the middle of vineyards, and so it's no problem there to refill probably.
Excellent.
Because there's a lot of vineyards there, a lot of local produce.
So Hannes, how do you organize a sprint? Why do you organize a sprint?
I organize a sprint because I want to contribute to Plone with that, and the organization is actually not very hard. You have to provide a place and some internet and possibility for the people to sleep if it is remote like that, or at least a way how people can easily get to the place where we are working, and that's basically it. If it helps, if you have a nice location, like the Buschenschank sprint location is quite nice. And it also helps if you have some topic and maybe people who are contributed to the who are contributing to the topic already, and and then you announce it. And also the Plone Foundation has some funding, so they fund community sprints, which are smaller sprints, and strategic sprints, which have a bigger scope and try really to advance Plone to a point for the next release or something. And yes, that's it.
We had so this year we had like the Buschenschank sprint, which when I looked at the input and output was really important for the progress. Next to the Beethoven sprint, where the Beethoven sprint was more focused on the Volto part, and the Buschenschank sprint was more involved in getting the last stuff and things fixed, mostly on the back end. There's some very advanced things that both classical Plone 6 but also Volto will get used. And it really was, there were like, the Buschenschank sprint was a bit remote. People were a bit isolated, and I tried to remotely to do some stuff to the video. There was a video stand-up call every morning. But it was amazing to see if you put like 15 smart. I mean, it's not legal to do that really. But if you put 15 smart people together and you isolate them a bit and you give them some very tough problems, look at what happens after a week. It's amazing. So I think those sprints are important. Sprints are social. But if you look at what's catched up, I think when we were finally able to meet again at those sprints this year, that was awesome.
Yeah, I was also happy. So I just to put that out. So if you ever want to organize a sprint, it's legal. It's not.
Thank you, Johannes, for organizing the sprint. And thank you, Kid Concept team, for organizing the Beethoven sprint, also for many years already.
Jakob did most of the work, I think. Didn't he?
That's a team effort, what they do there. That's really cool.
Obviously.
So
we have one more guest.
We have one more guest. Yeah, okay. So we've been paying some attention when we started the podcast about the whole plone.org revamp project.
Well,
in our
why
first
are you
project.
sitting and I'm standing?
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
You're standing.
Okay,
so I think you were going to grab the microphone and call somebody in front.
Yeah,
he wants his beer first. Okay.
We can start with that. So this is an ongoing effort, and Rico Pekka, please come here. So we've thought that we can manage to launch Plone.org in sync with the conference and in sync with the Plone 6 final release. Obviously, things don't always turn out as you expect them to.
Yeah, and
but
there's only one person to blame. That's the marketing team lead.
Who's that again?
I don't know that guy, but yeah. Anyway, but he's there to take all the credit when it happens, that we can release the site, so yeah.
Yeah, so Rieke Becker has been leading this effort, and there has been some great progress. Also on back end, there's the other side, Philip, who has participated in the migration part.
Just tiny bits, but a lot of work was done by Red Turtle, thanks to the Red Turtle people to contribute so much for the design and setup and the blocks. Yeah. So where are we? Is it going to be done tomorrow?
Yeah, we are like 8 months down now, so it's going to be there soon. Eventually. So, as you said, so a year ago there was a good plan, and the plan is still good. And Philip did the full migration from Plone 5 to Plone 6 to Volto, so that's there, that's a huge thing. And the other thing is the design, the theme, and it's not just the theme, it's the whole like structural design of the user experience of the whole thing. And it's public and visible in this mural design that you can all check if I post the link somewhere. And then there's been all these content discussions and designs and how we want to show the navigation and what kind of success stories we want to show there. So there is progress, and of course, all the progress on Plone 6.
So the problem, obviously, I think everyone realized that I said that before. For Plone 6 final release, the most important thing is marketing, and for the Plone.org, there's like the same person for responsible for these two things. So he needs help. We need to team together. We need to pool our resources. We need to organize a couple of online sprints to get this stuff out of the door, Plone.org, and then the final release, obviously, of Plone 6.
Yeah.
I saw you said something about an upcoming sprint, or you want to plan a sprint next.
Yeah.
So how can people find that?
Yeah, we will tell about it. But this weekend, one chance to do something for the site, and there's basically two things we need. One thing is to get a running Plone 6 site with Volto with that design that the Italians made, to put it somewhere running so we can use that as a preview site.
The president of the Plone Foundation promised that?
Eriko promised, yeah.
Who's that? He's happy about being blamed. That's good.
So, Eriko, you've got something to do for the next weeks.
Yeah.
I don't know that name.
But But that's one thing. And then when we get this site running, we can do the content things there. So that's the other part. So anyone who wants to write good content for Plone.org, please report to me and help.
Yeah, please do that. Thank you for leading that effort and sticking with it so many months.
And the original plan was to release it before the end of 22, so we are still there. So
okay, we'll make it.
3 months left.
Well, 3 months left.
2.5 months. We'll get there. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rieke Becker. What's next, Philip?
Yeah, so I heard your talk, and I was on the way to the conference location this morning. I was thinking about a thing that always happens, and I don't know how to solve that. So that would actually be a cool thing for a group discussion, and someone has a solution for that. Probably not. What are you doing? That's so nice. Thank you. Single tier. So if you're responsible for a product built with what a Plone, could be SharePoint, could be WordPress, whatever, it doesn't really matter, or a website in this case, you have two extreme choices. One is to duck and ignore all kinds of feature requests that come in, because you say there's like too much complexity, it will grow into a moloch. And the other is to actually let it grow into a moloch. And and either you do this and deny, like don't. It's your responsibility, but you're not taking it on as a living thing, but as a thing that's like, okay, I did that once. Or you take it on and let it grow, and you hedge it and whatever. But even if you're one side of the spectrum or on the other side of the spectrum, it is you're owning that. And either way, if you're responsible or you duck from responsibility, everything that is not this system starts to look appealing, because it's not your responsibility anymore, and you can duck from. Now then you can't duck, but the problem is that every time, I see that with all of my clients, they have these websites and these complex applications, and once it is there and they're responsible for that, everything else looks more appealing than that. And how can we get out of that?
I mentioned it to you, like it's all. You could look at it another way, like once you start working with something, you don't only see the positive parts, but you also see the less appealing parts, or the hard work you've done, or the things you've struggled, or the banana peels you've slipped over, and that's once you really get your feet wet, you see the good parts and also the work and the bad parts. But then everything else, of course, you haven't been really sweating that, so it looks more appealing. It looks more appealing. So but then of course, if you switch, if you go to another system or to another responsibility, it's like, oh no, I've been doing development so long, I'm going into management because management looks appealing. I'm making this up right away. And then you start really doing management, or you start really doing things in management or in training or in support.
Even worse, then the only thing you're doing is basically ass covering. Like, yeah, we did that, but we're not going to change that, because then if it changes, it's going to be my fault. Or if I'm going to change that, and then it's the person who put in the requirements fault. I call that product fatigue. And from the talks about universities, from Riku Pekka and others, I realized that there may be people who don't have that. And I'm wondering if that it's a personal defect for those people who have that, or is it an occupational hazard, or
like the optimism bias? The same. It's mind-boggling to me that at the same time we have these talks about universities going full on Plone and doing new things and are very happy and have 2,000 sites and looking at things like Imio talking, we deploy another 200 sites and they just continue improving. And at the same time, I met people here in personal talks where they say, yeah, well, our organization, our university, yeah, they've been using Plone and they want to switch to something else because some of the editors saw another nice composite page editor, they want to use that, or we've been struggling and we want to outsource everything. I can't balance those two. It's why are few or quite a few going
I see
positive and others go. So you say product fatigue.
I don't know. It's for a lot of people. I think it's an automatism that once you have it and you're responsible for it, it is less appealing than what you don't know and what you're not yet responsible for. So the chances, okay, so maybe I nudge management to go down the Microsoft route or something else. I don't have an answer for that, but I'm not sure if others have the same experience, but I have clients who have exactly that issue, and that's it bothers me because I see so many, especially the universities, they've shown the last 2 days, I think, with really exciting products, living for a very long time and adding features at the right speed and having ownership and product management in maybe the right. I'm not sure what's magic there.
I try to hint there maybe in my talk as well, like evolution over revolution.
So who knows a horrible university who does it exactly the wrong way?
Oh, Philip,
No,
come on.
let's
No,
not
do that here on stage. No.
Not
Philip,
by name.
Philip, something unique has happened. It's like we've got 50 minutes left. How come? The second time we try this again, so we've been doing like things like I've been time coding.
Because we're not showing any add-ons.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Not so
You know why? Because you people are lazy. Nobody showed up and said. Everybody went up on stage and said, "Oh, here's my shiny new add-on," but I'm not going to talk to Fred or Philip about that. But I saw. What was that? There was one add-on mentioned that I couldn't find in Plone Awesome. So. That is so old. That last commit was from 2020, and there was just maintenance. So yeah, maybe not that one, but something else.
So what I saw as a recent plugin, if we're now going to improvise, PAS plugins OIDC, which is something that's dear to my heart because we have these single sign-on things and connect. So that's a new plugin or plugin that maybe is there. But we have to get, I think, some Volto integration for that. But hopefully, somebody said, look, we've got something that. So the PAS plugin is on the back end, which enables you to use OpenID Connect, which is one of the newest single sign-on kits on the block. It's a kind of fixed implementation on top of OAuth 2. And it should get a Volto add-on as well. Something else that has gotten a Volto front-end part, also authentication-based, is PAS plugins automatic.
Yeah, there's a back-end part and a front-end part, and you can mix them. But yeah, there's still an issue. I can't remember what it was. Like you can't disable it somehow. Something like that. I don't. Yeah. It doesn't really matter. So let's not talk about add-ons. Let's talk about Volto. So we'd like to know
more audience time. More audience time. People, pay attention.
Who here has ever once in their life so far run Volto on their own machine or one of their own servers? Hands up, please. Has.
The positive one.
I see people not raising hands. Oh, you okay, Rico Pecker, you just
one third.
Saved that. No, there was way positive? More. Should we do the reverse thing? But we can't see anything because of the bright lights of the city. Who hasn't? No, we're not doing that. That would be kind of blaming. No. So the question is. So I think we both agree that Volto is, by all rights, the default front end for Plone 6. That was a sane decision we made in, God, when was that? That was not at the Beethoven Sprint, but even way earlier. That was like 2 years before that, I think. That we said the installation story needs to have 3 buttons, like
oh yeah.
Plone,
that was
classic Plone, and whatever.
I think we discussed it early 2020 also at Innsbruck at
Alpine
City Spring.
Exactly.
That's where we also discussed it. Also with So if you install a new Plone site in Plone 6, we kind of nudge you very friendly to explore and use the Volto one. Of course, you can still use classic Plone. But yeah, because we have some time left, let's try to do something a bit more controversial.
Yeah.
Next question. Who thinks that in 5 to 10 years all normal HTML-backed websites will be converted to JavaScript web apps? So raise your hands.
Not all in the world, all Plone ones, I mean. So will there be a point in the next 5 to 10 years when you think that the whole community will agree to disable server-side rendering and remove page templates?
Who thinks so? Hands up.
Yeah, that's interesting.
That's
I think there was 3.
Should we now? The fun thing is people wanting online don't see this.
Would you disable a Django admin? You wouldn't.
I'm not talking about for the admin control panel or ZMI. Obviously, we can't remove. Obviously, we could remove stuff from Zope, but we should not. No, it's
so
basically removing the second button.
Yeah. But so
and
the response
deleting
wasn't
all these old page templates.
I'm raising my microphone.
Yes, do that.
So the response wasn't that. So we tried to steer up a bit of a discussion there because I think that's one of the adoption issues that we've had for the last few years. Like there's Volto, Java. I had to explain this to my customers as well because they didn't understand 5 or 6 years ago when the effort was started and the general web development movement to JavaScript web apps. So I always explain then to people, also my customers, like, look, you've got a HTML-backed canvas on which you paint your page, and then you sprinkle some interactive JavaScript elements there. But that's HTML backed. What we're going to now is a JavaScript canvas on which you sometimes have some HTML things, just to make it understandable for people. And of course, both have their advantages and disadvantages. But when I look at my own customers, we still have some really big HTML-backed sites there. Still a few Plone 4, which we want to migrate as soon as possible. But when you see the new requirements coming in, where most of my customers want to have really interactive pages and really want to have a smooth editing experience, that's almost only possible if you switch from HTML back to JavaScript back, because then we're going actually back to client server in some respect to there, but then the client server 4.0, and then the interactivity and the speed and the smoothness you get with, okay, text. Now I want to insert a dynamic graph. Now I want to insert a chart. Now I want to insert a carousel. I think you can only manage that with a JavaScript-backed thing, and that's what Photo offers.
So I think there's something to learn from that, from the response to that question, and that is that those people who were afraid that the traction that Volto got from the core developers is killing the classic backend, these fears are entirely untrue. I don't think, if you take that as a poll, that the classic backend is not going to die anytime soon. And what I mean by soon is within 5 to 10 years. And that's not... True. And that's not only because of the universities with their huge code bases that are really hard to migrate, but they might want to, maybe some don't want to. And it's... I think, so the FUD, fear, fear, doubt, and uncertainty about that is it's unbased. So
yeah, but I'm really,
don't worry, it's going to be there.
And I'm
if
really
you want
thankful, Philip, that you look at that. It's evolution. So you can decide for your own with your evolution how fast you move, and it's not revolution. It's not that we killed off classic. No, we provide a very cool evolutionary path to moving to a much more interactive and rich editing environment, and also rendering environment, of course. And you can move it at your own speed.
Yeah, we're making it hard to resist.
Tempting.
The great way that it looks like and works like. So just the happy news for me and my company is that we're gaining lots of Volto projects now, and I wouldn't have expected that a couple of years ago. So that's interesting, and I think there's nothing to learn from that aside from there is also business there, and that developing for that is fun, but developing for a Bootstrap 5 based super fast classic backend is also fun. So I'm really happy. So let's wrap that up with being happy. I'd say
this is rather unique. Like we've got still 5 minutes left.
No, let's not do another poll.
No, we don't do that. So, thanks for having us here. It was inspiring. We managed. I've got a bit of sweaty hands, but I still can hold my microphone.
I'm panicking.
You're panicking. Why you got your beer?
Yeah, because you said things that I didn't understand. That happens all the time.
Yeah.
So, if you have any feedback, let us know. If you have any topics that you want us discussed, or please don't discuss that, would be even more important.
Otherwise, I'll invent them and confuse you. Yeah. So if you have more mundane topics to discuss.
Yeah. And have a great party tonight, and see you next time online in our boring lair back home when we're recording the next episode. And it would be so cool to do this again at some point live. Yeah. Thank you.
He's fishing. Yeah. So thank you very much.
Good night.
About tonight. So you have all